India is a rising world power. But it has to navigate a complex geopolitical situation. India has two rivals at its borders. Pakistan on one side, China on the other. India also has to balance its alliances, the historical friendship with Russia and the budding ties with the West. As the two sides face off, India is walking a tightrope. The challenges are immense. What are the pathways for leveraging India's defense strengths, mitigating its weaknesses, capitalizing on emerging opportunities, and confronting the evolving threats? Joining us now is the Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Pande. Conferred with the Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal and the Vishisht Seva Medal for his illustrious service to the nation, we are delighted to welcome the Chief of Army Staff of India, General Manoj Pande. He has had a distinguished military career spanning over 4 decades. He has been at the helm of operations and missions to secure India's borders, including those along the line of control, the line of actual control, and the northeast. Please welcome General Manoj Pande. Moderating this session is Palki Sharma, the Managing Editor of Firstpost.
With threats rising both at land and at sea, what are the challenges and the opportunities as the country hones its combat capacity at its borders? To break down the big picture and to begin today's discussions, please welcome General Manoj Pande, Chief of the Indian Army Staff.
राष्ट्र के प्रहरी भी, राष्ट्र निर्माण के भागीदार भी, रग रग में दौड़ता जिसके देश प्रेम का जज्बा भी, प्रबल, शक्तिशाली और तत्पर, वो भारतीय सेना अब है परिवर्तन के पथ पर।
We could now request General Manoj Pande ji to come to the stage.
Government functionaries present here, members and research scholars from the academia and think tanks, industry leaders, representatives from the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon and Jai Hind to everybody here. It is indeed a unique opportunity for me to address strategic planners, policy makers, industry leaders, and the media all under one roof. I shall give you a very brief insight and share my thoughts on the Indian Army's push to self-reliance as part of its transformation in meeting its operational and functional requirements. The mandate that stands defined for the armed forces is to deter war, achieve desired political aims by application of military power, and foster a conducive internal and external environment for the unhindered socio-economic development of India, enabling it to assume its rightful place in the emerging world order. And towards achieving this aim, the process of arriving at the desired military capabilities involves periodic threat assessment, defining military missions, objectives, and identifying capability gaps, leading to the articulation of an integrated capability development plan. The capabilities thus arrived at ought to prevent war by presenting a credible deterrence, as also enabling a robust response to threats when required across the entire spectrum of conflict. Amidst the ongoing geopolitical flux in the world order, the character of war continues to change. Disruptive technologies are blunting conventional combat force ratios. Multi domain operations, to include cyber, space, electromagnetic spectrum, and information, are today inescapable realities. Conventional instruments of war have also undergone notable technological progression. Non state actors are increasingly gaining access to modern technologies of military use and employing it for an asymmetric leverage in conflict. Cumulatively, we have seen that the battle space has become more complex, contested, and lethal. Technology, we believe, is emerging as the new strategic arena of geopolitical competition. Technology denials are intensifying and transforming the ways nations interact, compete, and pursue their interests. The impact of external dependency for critical components, supply chain disruptions, and weaponization of denial regimes came to the fore during the pandemic and also from the lessons that we learn from the ongoing conflicts world over. These developments have clearly underscored that the security of the nation can neither be outsourced nor be dependent on the largesse of others. The need to be self reliant in meeting our defense need, both in acquiring new weapon systems, platforms, and equipment, and sustenance of existing ones by meeting ammunition, spares, and maintenance demands, and achieving self sufficiency in critical technologies is hence an imperative. As guardians of the nation's security, we are seized of the need to completely wean away from import dependencies for our capability development requirements. And this aspect remains pivotal in our strategic planning to be future ready. The Indian Army's vision for the future is to transform into a modern, agile, adaptive, technology enabled, self reliant, future ready force capable to deter and win wars in a multi domain operational environment across the full spectrum of conflict to protect our national interest in synergy with other services. The vision, as you would have seen, clearly recognizes the felt need for initiating progressive changes, which accrue from four key drivers, namely the unprecedented trends in the geopolitical landscape, the limitless potential of disruptive technologies that we have seen, the transforming or changing character of modern wars, and profound changes that we see in the socio-economic domain. In order to effect the desired changes, we had initiated the process of transformation some time back, and it entailed essentially five distinct pillars, namely force structure and force structuring and optimization, modernization and technology infusion, refining our systems, processes, and functions. Fourth was human resource management, and last was improving jointness and integration. I must say we have made good and considerable progress spanning all these disciplines. This afternoon I shall focus on modernization and technology infusion, as part of which we are pursuing new and niche technologies for absorption into our warfighting systems. And this has been given effect through a focused capability development and sustenance roadmap, which conforms to our commitment to the vision of Atmanirbharta, or achieving self-reliance. In order to achieve Atmanirbharta, it is essential that an effective defense industry ecosystem exists in the country, which includes research, design, development, and production capacities. Linkages among the academia, research and developed establishments, industry, and the users, such as the Indian Army, are critical for this ecosystem to develop. It is through this integrated network that we can develop core competencies in critical technologies and production of key systems and subsystems with a clear focus, scale, and speed necessary to meet not only our defense requirements but also harness the same for export of military hardware in the future. The foundational or the four foundational building blocks for developing the desired defense industry ecosystem, in my opinion, are resource allocation, enabling government policies and provisions, having a viable market, and last is a fair competition. And I think this edifice in all these four areas has systematically been put in place. The government, as you are aware, has taken a number of initiatives and actions in this regard, such as simplification of industrial licensing, inclusive participation of private sector, foreign investment liberalization, incentivization of transfer of technology, promulgation of positive indigenization lists, a dedicated R&D budget for domestic capital procurement, enhanced delegated financial powers, corporatization of ordnance factories, laying emphasis on defense exports, and lastly, establishment of defense corridors. The services have been a facilitator for policy execution and are providing a viable market for indigenous defense manufacturers. A number of actions have been taken by us to leverage the vibrant startup ecosystem, the innovation potential, and the current and emerging capacities of the domestic defense industry. I shall touch upon some of these. The Army Design Bureau is the face of Indian Army's proactive outreach with the defense industry. Regional technology nodes have been set up at Pune and Bangalore, which act as an interface between the defense industry in these areas and the users. And these help towards connecting with the startups, MSMEs, and the academia as well. We also established Indian Army cells in institutes of academic repute such as IIT Delhi. We have one in IIT Kanpur, IISc Bangalore, and we intend having some more in some of these institutes. We have also been proactively reaching to industry with problem statements, solutions to which we seek from the industry. The process of communicating our future defense requirements through the technology perspective and capability roadmap guides the industry and planning and initiating technological development, partnerships, and production programs. A number of initiatives have been taken by us to handhold the industry towards building trust and the required momentum. Organizing tours of industry representatives to forward areas to better understand the field conditions and the felt need of the user, conduct of trials, assistance in testing and certification, provisioning or providing in-service equipment for research and development, facilitating grant of NOC for exports, and promotion of defense industry in friendly foreign countries through a number of means such as regular exercises that we carry out with our friends through military diplomacy are some of the endeavors in this direction. The Indian defense industry, we believe, is investing significantly into research processes and advanced production and manufacturing technology, and is today producing cutting-edge military hardware with modern technology. Currently, we have around 350 industry working towards fructification of something like 230 contracts by 2025, that entails an outlay of close to 2.5 lakh crores. Apart from weapon systems and equipment, we are also pursuing 45 niche technologies which have been identified for military application. 120 indigenous projects are currently underway to develop and absorb these niche technologies. Now, these spans across multiple routes of innovation, incubation, and development. We have established centers for excellence in our technical institutes, including 5G test labs, AI, and quantum laboratories in collaboration with institutes such as the IIT Madras. In the space domain, we are exploiting indigenous space assets, with the Army being one of the largest users of satellite communication based networks. The government has recently approved the new FDI policy in space sector, where liberalized thresholds have been defined for various subsectors and activities. I believe this will greatly enhance participation of private industry in investing in development and production of satellites, launch vehicles, and associated systems and subsystems. Indigenize to modernize shall remain our mantra for capability development in the future. Our ex-import defense contract, which some 20 years back stood at 30%, are today at near 0% for the last 2 financial years. Presently, our inventory comprises a fair mix of vintage, current, and the state-of-art equipment. Modernization or replacement of all is neither feasible in one go nor desirable. We shall be spacing out our upgrades and new procurements as per our evolving indigenous capacities. We intend to scale up the ratio of vintage to current to the state-of-art equipment substantially by year 2030 with a focused Atmanirbhar capability development roadmap. Becoming self-reliant in acquiring new weapons and equipment is not good enough. Our aim is to be able to indigenously source or produce all that is necessary to fight, and this includes the ammunition, spares, and other maintenance requirements. So this is important. It is not as if you only purchase new equipment, but their sustenance is something which is critical, and that is what we have seen, or one of the lessons that we learned out of the ongoing conflicts. Overall, in the future, we intend moving from a buyer-seller relationship to the one of partnership with our defense industry. The cumulative efforts of the Indian Armed Forces in pursuing indigenous procurements, we believe, has been a catalyst for growth of indigenous defense industry, thereby laying the foundations of a globally competitive defense industry. The payoffs are clearly visible in the volume of Indian defense exports in the financial year 22-23, which stood at approximately 16,000 crores, marking almost a tenfold increase over the last 5 years. The nation today exports defense hardware and software to more than 85 countries, driven by more than 100 indigenous firms. These capacities that have accrued will contribute significantly to the nation's progression towards becoming a $1 trillion economy. Here I would like to underscore the point that Swadeshikaran se Sasaktikaran is a work in progress, while all stakeholders, be it the services, industry partners, the startups, R&D institutions, academia, and the policymakers have all an equal and crucial role to play. The Indian Army remains fully aligned and integrated with the national vision and objectives. If we as a nation have envisioned and taken up the resolve to emerge as a developed nation as we celebrate our centenary milestone, then the foremost mandate that emerges is that we need to ensure that the nation's security is not impacted in any way so that its progress continues unabated. Towards that, a self-reliant and future-ready Indian Army shall continue to contribute meaningfully to the aspirations, goals, and objectives of a rising India. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and Jai Hind.